As I'm lying in bed, I am thinking to myself when I am going to make, I'm asking myself rather, when I am going to make another YouTube video. It has been an extraordinarily long period of time since I have filmed one of those. Being that we're kind of in the dead of the summer, and also understanding that we're getting really uncharacteristically high humidity indexes that a lot of us aren't used to. Things that might be interesting to film outdoors are not really in the cards right now, at least until it chills out and cools down just a bit. I do have a very important, very exciting video to share with you it's once it becomes a bit more hospitable in the temperature department. It's regarding a vehicle acquisition, which I'm really excited to share with you guys. But it's going to have to wait until it cools down, because I just cannot bear the idea of standing out in 92 to 95 to 97 degree weather in really high humidity in the direct sunlight filming a truck. So, and part of me thinks that might not be such a good idea. So, bear with me on that. Probably next week. They say it might cool down, but they say a lot of things, don't they, on the Weather Channel? But I thought I might talk about my electronics test equipment, what I use most frequently, and what I have that I put into service when needed, that are larger in size, that don't need to be out all the time. What you're seeing here is indeed vintage to some degree. It's not ancient, but it's certainly it certainly gives you a good idea of what vintage this hails from. So I'm going to go over just a brief sweep of what's going on here, and I'll bring in one other piece that I was just recently using today, that I haven't put away just yet, that I'm probably going to after I film this, just for fun. Those of you who know what these things do don't need much explanation as to what they do. I'm certainly not going to make it a educational video by any means. Otherwise, it'll exceed 20 minutes long, and I really just don't have it in me to film for another 20 minutes, especially at 4 o'clock in the morning. So we'll just talk about what's here, and we'll just for your viewing entertainment, I suppose. Start from the left. We have a Kron and Height, or K&H Electronics, sweep function generator. This hails from, oh my gosh, probably somewhere between the late 60s and early 70s. The technical college near us that owned this, if I understand the asset tag correctly, that I found equipped on this, stated that the last calibration date was 1986. So clearly made redundant by much more contemporary pieces of equipment for that educational setting. This belonged to a buddy of mine who actually used this as one of his most frequently used generators, that he had on his bench until he got something a little bit more feature-filled and contemporary. He's incredibly gifted at electronics and making things, testing things, repairing things, reworking things. That's just entirely what he does, and he does what he does very well. I'll take a little close look at it. As you can see Kron and Height. It's a 1200 sweep generator. There is the proof that it was calibrated at some point. The date of calibration is on the back, 1986. Unsure of what month, because that part of the sticker is worn off. But it has a beautiful, absolutely beautiful feel to it. It just screams quality, and it's not something that you can get with a lot of equipment now. And if it'll maintain focus, that would be great. You start by turning it on. You get a nice, the camera's oversaturating it, of course, why wouldn't it? Nice warm red LED. Nice satisfying button press here. Beautifully smooth dials, like buttery smooth dials. I believe these were taken off, and copious amounts of deoxit was used to clean these things. All of them, really. Really good, substantial function selector buttons. Yes, I will revert these back. I don't need to be just turning this on and connecting it to something and not have it be default. But very attractive, very modest in its, but very utilitarian, just exactly what you need. What anybody really could have needed. Just a beautiful piece. I don't have any of its leads connected right now, because I'm not working on anything at this time, and I don't really want, you know, wire spaghetti just all over my bench here. So those are put away. But it sits here at the ready, and it's not intrusive at all, and it just does what it does, and it does it well. And I don't foresee myself needing something, unless I wanted to interface this with like a computer or with some software. I don't see myself needing something that much newer to achieve that goal, so here it will stay. We'll move over to the right. We have a good old-fashioned Hewlett-Packard 6202B. This is a DC power supply, 0 to 40 volts, 0.75 amps. Again, God, I want to say this is older. Maybe just late 60s. You know, they did use this style for a long period of time. So because I can't find a date code, all of that has been worn off over the years. This could be anywhere between the 60s, 70s, and 80s for all I know. According to my buddy, he suggests that it's been repaired before he had his hands on it. So some of the capacitors and other components in here date into the early to mid 70s, so that still doesn't say anything about when the actual unit was produced. But this works really well. It's very straightforward power supply, super accurate in what it and it will maintain these settings that you select all day long. As there is a massive, I don't know if you can see behind it, but there's a massive heatsink behind here, and this is easily the most, probably one of the, it's not the most efficient power supply you've ever seen, but it will maintain the measurements and settings, that the currents and voltages all day long without any objection. I have tested things such as CB radios on this. I've tested things such as just dummy loads, and just to check and see if, you know, resistors worked and things like that, and it's just not said no. Its only limitation is how much current and how much voltage it can give me, which again, for my uses, this is a very useful power supply. So again, God, look at that toggle switch, bang. And it's already set to a little over like 20, we're about 25 volts, 3 amps. So all you gotta do is just go down and up again, and just again, beautifully smooth. It's on the 5 volt, it's on the low range on the meter selection, so it's also got a very fine trim here. So if you don't want such abrupt adjustment, you can trim it out very, very precisely with this knob. It's got a grounding point, positive, negative, your usual fare for power supplies. Works real nice. I love it. Again, very modest in its design. just sits there and just does its job. Dust it off every now and again, blow it out with some air. It'll just, you know, just keep working. You know, just don't stack anything on top of it. That was probably the demise of a lot of these things. People didn't really think that these little holes meant anything. They were clearly for ventilation, and that's a lot of what he found with these power supplies and pieces of test equipment, is that they failed to excessive heat. So he remedied those, and now we have a beautifully functional power supply again that's ready for service whenever I so choose. I'll zero that out again. Make sure everything's zeroed out, actually. Good old reliable HP DC power supplies. Gotta love them. Wish it was a little bit smaller, but, you know, this was probably just mind-blowingly elaborate when it came out and was sold for sale. I do some soldering. If there's something that I cannot do, I will defer to the same person who restores these pieces of equipment. I have my soldering station here. I do not have my heat gun attached to this at this point. It's a soldering and heat gun combination unit. It is known under many names, but this particular model is the Zenny or Zeni or whatever they wanted to call it. The 853D, I've had this for well over 8 years, and the only thing that I've had to do to it was pre-inspect it, because people, when these caught on in popularity, before they kind of got expensive, due to price trends and stuff, one thing that people said to do was make sure all the grounding lugs were tight, and lo and behold, they were all loose. What do you expect? So I went in and I tightened them up and put a little Loctite around them, and it's worked great ever since. It has an idea of a 12-volt power supply for testing things that just run on 12 volts. It has the idea of maybe it claims it can supply an amp. I think that's complete BS. I haven't tried to load test that theory because I don't really want to invoke any damage on this unit, because the soldering and heat gun aspect of this works just fine. The temperatures are very accurate. Let me see if it's actually turned on here. Yep, it is. So if I had my heat gun there and stuff like that, and there's the DC power supply that you can put some banana plugs in and stuff like that. The little soldering tip is here. I have a sponge. Right there is my trusty Fluke 83 multimeter, non-RMS, unfortunately. I had an RMS meter. Something horrible happened to it. It got submerged in a body of water and ultimately destroyed. One of those is in the books to get, but it's not in the books to get right now. Non-RMS meter is perfect for my needs at this point. Let's have a look past this bottle of Pepsi here, and we'll see this big chunker. This is a Power Designs dual supply, all-in-one dual supply, 50-volt power supply. Supplies, I do believe, anywhere between, I have to remember here, 500 milliamps or something on each bank. Grounding post, DC, positive and negative each side. Each side works great. Super accurate. Again, there's trimmer switches and non-trimmer switches and things like that. Very satisfying gauges and things. As you can see, the embellishment did fall off, which is kind of a shame, but This one has this one was actually touted as a portable. This has to be probably early to mid 60s if I had to guess. Part of the power supply comes out here, but there is a convenient winding post here for your power cable for said unit. He recently stopped using this, my buddy, so he asked if I needed a dual bank supply, and I said sure. You know, sometimes you just need more supplies, and two, I think, is exactly all I need. I just need to find something that will accommodate its height. I'm unsure where I'm going to put this one. It might be just one of those pieces of equipment that I take out when needed. I do have a tool storage area that this would fit perfectly in, nice and safe. So I could take it out whenever I need a really, really beefy and really consistent power supply. For some reason or another, this would also be great to test things like radios and stuff like that if you're into that kind of thing, or just any project that you want to test or supply power to. Now I'm just speaking in layman's terms here. You know, it's anybody who knows what this is knows what this is, right? I'm not going to go into detail about what all the uses for a AC to DC power supply are for. I'm not going to tell you, every singular use that a sweep generator can be used for, and you should know what a multimeter does. If not, then I would suggest versing yourself in that before you try acquiring and using any of this at all. Yeah, just my little tools of the trade here. I use it for pretty well everything. We've got everything I need. The only thing I'm sort of half-heartedly looking for is a scope. Not too sure what route I'm going to go there yet. There's a lot of controversy regarding the computer system interfaced scopes with the software that is available for said scopes. There seems to be a division on whether or not those are a good idea. I have used one before and I had nice results, so it might be something to try. Again, not a now thing, but a at some point thing. So yeah, these just reside on or around my desk. My server just kind of lives down there. Plenty of space to work on things. As you can see, I've worked on things, and yeah, everything I need. So hope you enjoyed that little tour of my equipment, and if you're one of those people that get irked that I can't place a date on things, I'm sorry, but there's not really much documentation, especially on the Cron and on the K&H Electronics function generator. I found one inkling of possibly what could be a service manual, but it didn't show any dates or anything like that. It just showed internal schematics. I might scan those and upload them to archive.org when I get a moment here. But yeah, you know what? I think I'll actually do that now that I'm thinking about it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of an intermediary video. I've got a little bit more tidying up to do before I hit the hay. So I hope everyone is bearing the summer season okay. And I hope that everyone is enjoying the summer season as well. So until the next video, which should be soon if the heat lets up, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. This is Fuji, signing out.